You can just do things. Over 3 million followers across Instagram and TikTok. Content, it gives you ability. It gives you opportunity. You wouldn't think of Elon Musk as a content creator because he's actually a business person, but Elon Musk is actually a great example of, like, in a certain sense, a content creator, right? He's tweeting like...
So if you haven't already seen Jason, also known as mytechceo, he's a social media phenomenon. He's amassed over 500,000 followers across socials, and he's now building a media company here in SF. So I asked him a bunch of questions like his story, his content strategy, how he thinks about building a media company. And so from the short interview, you can take away some nuggets, whether you're in content, trying to build a media brand, or just figuring out how to come to SF and work on your ideas. If you have any other questions you want me to ask some of the people here, let me know in the comments. And I hope you enjoy this one.
Yeah, you know that saying on Twitter, you can just do things? It's true. You can just do things. You can just come out to SF and you can start creating content and then start building an audience and then start getting deals from like big tech companies that want to work with you and then start doing those deals and then start building a whole media company. So that's how I started doing things.
So, but walk me through like your story. So did you start off here in SF or?
So I grew up in Europe. I have been in the tech space for the last couple of years. I started doing content with my twin brother, actually, and we grew this account called The European Kid.
I thought that was like the joke that you just made on for your videos.
No, I make a lot of jokes. That's actually true. He's a twin brother, not a human clone. So I started that account with him, The European Kid. We scaled that pretty large account, over 3 million followers across Instagram and TikTok. And then I started creating content in the tech space. I was like, why not do a cool, interesting, insightful tech CEO character that people in tech love to watch, where you kind of showcase tech culture through this like satirical, like eccentric tech CEO character, right? Like you probably see a lot of these like folks in SF, like with similar characteristics. Yeah. And so just started creating content, didn't think much about it, didn't try to like overthink it, just started creating content and slowly building this audience now on primarily on Instagram, have over 250,000 followers. And I want to build a media brand. I think it's like showed me the power, like it's shown me the power of content and the power, like the fact that I can leverage that content to get distribution for products, to meet people. I've met a lot of really incredible CEOs through my brand, has shown me the power of distribution, right? And so
it's funny how you played a satirical CEO and then you use that to like meet other actual CEOs. Tech CEOs.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, exactly. Like a lot of like big CEOs watch that content. And so it's just like an interesting way to leverage content, right? Like content, it gives you ability, it gives you opportunity. It's not the end all, right? Like if you are a content creator, like a lot of people think that a lot of people look at content creators and they think to themselves, oh, they're just creating content. I don't really view myself as a content creator, just creating content. Yeah. I'm using content as an opportunity and leveraging that to meet other people, to build like businesses.
And then it's like leverage and
it's like a form of leverage, right? That's why like the most successful people are people that are putting content and then also have businesses that they're directly impacting, right? Like you wouldn't think of Elon Musk as a content creator because he's actually a business person, but Elon Musk is actually a great example of like, in a certain sense, a content creator, right? He's tweeting like, I don't know how many, like there's like a post, he tweets like thousands of times in the span of like a couple of weeks.
Thousands, like half of them are like posts with like the word retard in there.
Yeah, he's a big troll, right? So, I mean, you look at like a lot of the most successful like founders and business people, I think understand the power of distribution. And I just view myself as in the same way. Like I think hacking content is a really valuable is really valuable towards being a good businessman. So that's how I think about it.
So let's say like someone out there is like starting out on content. They want to do that to build leverage and actually be in SF to work on that more. How do you think they should go about that?
Yeah, I think for anyone who's starting out, you have to be very clear about what your goal is, what your end goal is. I don't think you should just create content for the sake of creating content. I think you should create content with a very specific goal in mind. And I think really what's important is you just have to experiment. Like you can't overthink content. Like I don't overthink my skits, right? Like, I mean, I actually do put a lot of effort and thought into my skits, but I don't try to overthink something. The most important thing is just doing. And I know this is like very common lessons that are shared to founders, builders. It's very true for content as well. You just have to kind of experiment and try different things and be very thoughtful and studious about what other content have you seen on the internet that has performed well, and draw ideas and insights from those and apply it to your content. Like when I was starting the mytechceo account, I really just took what I understood had worked well for this other account that I was growing with my twin brother, and I just applied it to a different character, and I just started putting out content and being consistent with it. I think it's very important that you are consistent with putting out content, not just for yourself, but also for the algorithm. The algorithm appreciates consistency.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's the advice I'd give to creators
And one
people.
last thing I'd ask is like, so when you're starting to like build a character and put yourself out there, does it just come naturally to you that you're able to like be a certain person on camera? Or what is that self-talk you tell yourself to just put yourself out there and not be like embarrassed or shy?
Honestly, two things. One is, for me, yes, it comes naturally. And I don't recommend other people do the same thing unless it comes naturally to you.
Right.
Like, I would suck at doing a very different content format that someone out there watching this video might be really good at. So you just have to leverage your strengths. I have this ability to just snap into a character, and I also enjoy it. It's kind of fun. It's kind of fun, like reflecting on what's happening in tech, the characters that you meet, and then kind of like portraying those in skits. But two, also, like, obviously there is that fear component you have to get over. It's funny, I think for a very long time I wanted to create content, but I never really created the content that I wanted to create. But the skits never felt like content. It just felt like me doing a character, which in a certain sense overcame this mental barrier, and it allowed me to just put things out there because I wasn't feeling like I was putting myself out there. I was putting a character out there. So, so if you said make content before I had done any kind of skits, I probably would have done stuff like in front of the camera like this, speaking to it, like sharing thoughts. But since that felt like there was a barrier, I did the skits, and the skits came very naturally. And so I don't even think about like the barrier nowadays when it comes to creating content. I just think about what's the skit idea, what's the character, and then I just execute.
Yeah, I think it's cool that even like for other people that aren't actually doing another character, they can form like a new identity that they shift into to like create content. And it's like kind of forcing them to, oh, this isn't actually me, this is like a character. But over time they become that character.
I mean, and like characters, maybe that doesn't really apply to some people, you know? I think the interesting thing about the internet is there are so many different types of content out there. There's really dumb, brain-rotting content out there. There's streamers. There's Mr. Beast content, which is like him thinking about what is a crazy video idea that millions of people, hundreds of millions of people are going to be interested in watching, right? There's so many different types of content. And I think that what most people creating content should think about is, number one, what is your format that you want to experiment, that you think you'd be naturally good at? But two is also like, what audience do you want to build? Because you can create Mr. Beast-like content, then you're creating with all the Mr. Beasts of the world. Or you could create content that is for a very unique audience that you have very interesting, unique insights for. You're probably going to have a better time reaching that audience as opposed to trying to reach a Mr. Beast audience, right? So in my case, I like tech a lot. I always want to speak to more. I want to speak to more tech creators and tech investors. Yeah. So I naturally gravitated towards doing a tech persona. So you
is that thing that is like an intersection of what you're good at, what do you like, and also like what people also appreciate. And like you're saying, you found that thing with tech and this character. Yeah,
I think you have to be very thoughtful about what audience do you want to build, and then what kind of content will also directly impact that. Because if you create, like in my case, I do create satirical content, but it is very thoughtful about things that are happening in tech or things that I see. So it almost feels like you're learning about tech, a bit like watching the Silicon Valley show. People watch the Silicon Valley show. It's funny, but they're also it's actually very true. It's based on a lot of true realities and stereotypes about the tech space. I try to make my content similar in the sense of like you're watching it, it's funny, but there's also a lot of insights you're grasping about the tech world from it. And that's just the nature of what I enjoy most and what what format works. But you have to be very thoughtful about what is your format and how do you want to express what you want to express towards your viewers, towards the audience, and that you want to build.
Perfect. I mean,
Yeah.
that's pretty much all I had. Like, I didn't